Have you ever felt exhausted and manipulated by a narcissist? Do you want to know how to reverse this dynamic, making them feel insecure and destabilized? I deeply understand this situation. I have faced the challenge of dealing with a narcissist and know the complexity of this struggle. In this video, I'll share with you 9 effective strategies that narcissists really hate. These are tactics that can help you disarm and destabilize them. Hello, Stoics. Welcome to our channel, a space that can also be yours. To join us on this journey of discovery, subscribe and turn on notifications, especially if this type of content resonates with you. Now let's dive into the video. After some time dealing with narcissists, it's natural to feel frustrated and even defeated. Their ability to manipulate and control can seem unbeatable. But have you ever wondered what really makes a narcissist lose their balance? That's exactly what I'll reveal next. Before proceeding, a crucial warning. Trying to destabilize a narcissist may provoke an adverse reaction against you. Therefore, I do not recommend using these strategies offensively, but as methods of defense and self-protection when necessary. So, let's explore together. What are the 9 main strategies you can apply to disarm a narcissist, making them feel insecure and destabilized? I will detail each one of them, showing why they are so effective and feared by them. The first and fundamental strategy to confront a narcissist aligns perfectly with the principles of Stoic philosophy: indifference. The Stoics, masters in the art of maintaining serenity in the face of emotional turmoil, teach us that power resides in our ability to control our emotional reactions, not in trying to control the behavior of others. At the heart of Stoic wisdom is the idea that we should focus only on what is under our control. In this scenario, the narcissist is constantly seeking admiration and validation. They crave being the center of attention. As the Stoics would advise, we must recognize that the narcissist's need for attention is out of our control, but our response to it is entirely within our domain. Indifference, therefore, is not just an absence of reaction, but a conscious decision not to let the narcissist's actions disturb our peace of mind. As Seneca or Epictetus might suggest, we confront the narcissist with an impenetrable calm, a mirror that does not reflect back their need for validation. This is deeply destabilizing for a narcissist, as their armor is penetrated not by confrontation, but by serenity. Negative tension, which the narcissist also uses as a source of nourishment for their ego, is another manifestation of the quest for attention. Here, Stoic wisdom guides us again to recognize that even negativity is a form of energy that we can choose not to provide. By refraining from reacting, we cut off that source of power. In summary, Stoic indifference, a stance of balance and emotional strength, becomes our most powerful weapon. It is not passivity, but an active choice not to allow another person's actions to dictate our emotional state. By adopting this stance, we disarm the narcissist, leaving them without the ammunition of our reactions and emotions. This is the power of indifference, rooted in the timeless wisdom of Stoicism. The second strategy to unbalance a narcissist, deeply aligned with Stoic wisdom, is the simple yet powerful act of saying no. For narcissists, accustomed to dominating and manipulating, direct opposition is a blow to the core of their control and authority. Saying no to a narcissist is more than a refusal. It is a challenge to their distorted perception of omnipotence. Stoic teachings remind us of the importance of self-determination and moral courage. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most renowned emperors and Stoic philosophers, emphasized the importance of staying true to one's principles, even in the face of adversity. By denying the demands of a narcissist, we are practicing this self-determination. We are standing firm, refusing to be shaped by others' wills. Narcissists, with their usual charm and manipulation, are masters at bending reality to suit their needs. They see others as tools for their personal gratification, disregarding the impact of their actions on relational dynamics. Therefore, when confronted with a firm and decisive no, they encounter a paradox that injures their sense of grandiosity. They cannot comprehend refusal, as in their distorted view, they are magnificent and infallible entities. This confrontation with reality is deeply disturbing for a narcissist. They may try to rationalize or disdain your refusal, but deep down, this denial strikes at their core of inflated self-importance. As the Stoics teach us, it is crucial to remain steadfast in our convictions, maintaining tranquility and control over our actions and reactions. By saying no to a narcissist, we are not only protecting our integrity, but also sending a clear message that we are not manipulable. In summary, saying no to a narcissist is a practice of self-assertion and resilience. It's an act of courage that directly challenges the narcissist's illusion of control and power, reflecting the Stoic values of self-determination and inner strength. The third strategy to destabilize a narcissist aligns with a central pillar of Stoic philosophy: reason. By staying logical and basing your responses and interactions on facts rather than emotions, you create a terrain where the narcissist struggles to play. Stoics deeply value logic and reason as tools to navigate life, and applying this principle in dealing with narcissists is especially effective. Narcissists, by nature, tend to shy away from logic and gravitate more toward emotional manipulation. They prefer a playing field where they can twist reality to their benefit. When challenged with concrete facts, instead of an emotional whirlwind, they feel at a disadvantage. Often their response to this is to resort to gaslighting, an attempt to make you question your own perception of reality, or to outbursts of hysteria. This hysteria is, in essence, a childish reaction that emerges when they feel they are losing control. These emotional outbursts only serve to highlight the narcissist's emotional immaturity and their inability to engage in adult-based interactions of facts and logic. By confronting them with truth and factual reality, you expose them to a scenario where their usual tactics of lies, omissions, and manipulations become useless. Stoic teachings, like those of Epictetus, remind us that we should focus on what is within our control, our own actions and responses. When communicating with a narcissist, staying grounded in factual reality and logic is a way to maintain this control. This not only protects our mental integrity, but also disorients the narcissist, who is accustomed to dominating the narrative with emotions and distortions. Therefore, speaking in factual and logical terms is not just a way to destabilize a narcissist, but also a practice of personal resilience and integrity deeply rooted in Stoic wisdom. If you're enjoying this, leave a comment. It helps this video reach more people. If you have nothing to comment, just say, "In search of evolution," and today's date. Just by getting this far, you're already part of the minority who are truly in search of evolution. Let's continue. The fourth effective strategy to destabilize a narcissist involves the concept of authority. Narcissists, with their insatiable thirst for power and control, detest having to submit or answer to anyone other than themselves. This aversion to recognizing external authority often manifests in problems in work environments, school, or even in confrontations with the law. The root of this behavior lies in their desire to dominate and control all situations. In professional contexts, when confronted about inappropriate behaviors, narcissists tend to deny their responsibility, rationalizing their actions in often absurd ways. That's why supervisors, managers, and other figures of authority often find them challenging and intractable. For a narcissist, the idea of limits is anathema. They erroneously believe that they can and should do everything their way, often leading to conflicts with authority figures. Understanding that narcissists are deeply destabilized by authority is crucial. Adopting a posture that respects and acknowledges authority while maintaining appropriate behavior in professional environments contrasts sharply with the typical approach of a narcissist. This difference not only highlights their flaws and inability to adapt to structures and rules, but also underlines the importance of balanced and respectful behavior. It's essential to remember that when dealing with narcissists, one should always prioritize their own safety and emotional well-being. Narcissists often have difficulty handling discipline and following basic instructions, and can have unpredictable and volatile reactions when confronted with boundaries or authority. Therefore, when implementing this strategy, it's important to do so cautiously and within a safe context. The fifth strategy in managing narcissists is the imposition of boundaries. This is a challenging but essential task for those who live with or interact with narcissistic individuals. If you've ever tried to set boundaries with a narcissist, you might have noticed that their responses vary but are rarely positive. They might completely ignore your attempts, manipulate the situation to make you doubt yourself, admit fault superficially without changing their behavior, or react with extreme anger, threats, and even physical aggression. These reactions illustrate the difficulty narcissists have in dealing with boundaries and accepting consequences. They often see themselves above the rules, unable to recognize their mistakes or understand why someone would consider them wrong. As a result, they may respond to any attempt to impose boundaries with disproportionate reactions, often using intimidation as a tactic. Unfortunately, it's common for people to avoid setting boundaries with narcissists, fearing to trigger conflicts. However, this avoidance only reinforces narcissistic behavior, as they perceive that they can act without facing resistance or consequences. Therefore, imposing boundaries is not just a strategy for dealing with narcissism, but also a way to protect oneself and maintain integrity in environments where such behaviors are prevalent. When imposing boundaries, it's important to be clear, consistent, and firm. Define your expectations and the consequences of not respecting them. Be prepared for the possibility of negative reactions and have a plan to deal with them safely. Remember that, although it can be challenging, establishing boundaries is a crucial step in preserving your emotional and psychological well-being when dealing with narcissists. The sixth strategy for dealing with narcissists involves a situation they have great difficulty managing: defeat. A narcissist's reaction to defeat is comparable to that of a small child who loses a board game: dramatic, exaggerated, and often childish. This is particularly problematic when dealing with adults, where a higher level of maturity and emotional control is expected. Whether in the context of games, discussions, or any other competitive situations, narcissists have a remarkable inability to accept defeat. This inability is a hallmark of narcissism and manifests in various ways. For example, when losing a game, it's common for narcissists to attack the credibility of the referee or try to diminish the winner's merit. They may even attempt to reverse the situation, falsely proclaiming themselves as the real winners or feigning disinterest to mask their inability to cope with the loss. This dynamic extends to other areas of life. For instance, after the end of a relationship, a narcissist might propagate the false narrative that they were the one who ended it, in an attempt to maintain the illusion of control and superiority. These reactions are not just an attempt to save face, they reveal a deep insecurity and an inability to confront reality maturely. While these strategies aim to destabilize and disarm narcissists, it's crucial to emphasize the importance of safety and emotional well-being when dealing with these individuals. Interactions with narcissists can be dangerous and challenging, especially when they feel threatened or defeated. In abusive situations, the priority should always be to seek professional help and appropriate support. If you're enjoying this, don't miss the opportunity. Get the ebook now, Stoicism in the 21st Century, Ancient Strategies for Modern Challenges, and unlock your prosperity, abundance, and improve your relationships with this ebook. Link in the pinned comment. The seventh strategy for destabilizing a narcissist involves one of their greatest vulnerabilities: public exposure that dismantles their perception of authority and superiority. Narcissists, in their ceaseless quest for admiration and respect, intensely struggle against any form of discredit or public humiliation. To them, the image of control and perfection is crucial, and any threat to this image is seen as a direct attack on their ego. When faced with the possibility of their supposed authority being questioned or unmasked in public, narcissists may react in various ways. Some might try to reverse the situation with story fabrication or outright lies. Others might react with forced laughter or disdain in front of others, but this facade often crumbles when they are alone, leading to outbursts of anger and frustration. Public humiliation is particularly problematic for narcissists because it directly hits the foundation of their inflated self-image. They view such exposure as a severe and personal attack, which can trigger vengeful and unpredictable responses. Therefore, when considering the use of this strategy, it is extremely important to proceed with caution. A narcissist's reaction to public humiliation can be intense and potentially dangerous. In this context, it's vital to remember that while public exposure may temporarily destabilize a narcissist, this approach can also intensify conflicts and provoke adverse reactions. Thus, when adopting this strategy, it's crucial to carefully assess the circumstances and potential consequences, always prioritizing personal safety and avoiding situations that could escalate into direct confrontation or open hostility. The eighth strategy for dealing with narcissists involves directly countering their perceived sense of superiority. Narcissists are often surrounded by a social circle that serves more to reinforce their narcissism than to offer genuine friendship. They tend to ally with people who validate their distorted view of the world, rejecting or criticizing those who do not conform to this pattern. In many cases, narcissists complain about others who do not fit into their strict and often irrational expectations. They have a remarkable difficulty in maintaining healthy relationships with individuals who do not continuously feed their sense of grandeur. Thus, by contradicting the perception of superiority of a narcissist, you are directly challenging the fabricated reality in which they live. This contradiction is deeply destabilizing for them, as it attacks the core of their artificially constructed world. This strategy is effective because it reveals the fragility of the narcissist's self-image. They struggle to accept the idea that others might be wiser, more successful, or in some way superior to them. This is especially true for grandiose narcissists who see themselves as unique and destined to associate only with high-status individuals. When something or someone challenges this perception of divine superiority, they react with emotional destabilization. The reality is that narcissists have difficulty dealing with people who are genuinely grounded in reality. These individuals, who usually possess more balanced and structured egos, rarely tolerate the prolonged presence of a narcissist in their lives. They quickly recognize the narcissist's inability to offer mutual respect, true connection, or genuine love. As with all strategies for dealing with narcissists, it is vital to prioritize your safety and emotional well-being. Remember that interacting with narcissistic individuals can be complex and at times dangerous. In cases of abuse, do not hesitate to seek support and professional assistance. The ninth and final strategy for effectively dealing with narcissists is preserving your own mental clarity in the face of their manipulations. Narcissists often employ tactics like love bombing, a seduction strategy that involves charm, intense attention, and cognitive empathy to create a deep and quick connection. The goal is to make you feel special and indispensable, while, in reality, they seek to control and dominate your perception and emotions. A critical point in the relationship with a narcissist arises when you begin to question the reality of the connection. At this moment, they often resort to gaslighting, a form of psychological manipulation that aims to make you doubt your own memories, perceptions, and sanity. This tactic is an effort to reprogram your mind, keeping you under control and questioning your own reality. To counter this manipulation, it is crucial to stay anchored in your own clarity, intuition, and discernment. Trusting your judgment and maintaining a strong sense of your identity and reality are essential to protect yourself from the narcissist's mental reprogramming tactics. Staying firm in your own perception and understanding is key to preserving your independence and emotional protection. By adopting this strategy, you not only dismantle the narcissist's manipulative approach, but also reaffirm your autonomy and strengthen your emotional well-being. Remember, clarity of thought and confidence in your own perception are powerful weapons against narcissistic manipulation. With this, I conclude this series of strategies. I hope these tips provide valuable insights for those facing challenges with narcissistic individuals. I also encourage you to seek more information about this disorder, and to deepen your knowledge, check out the ebook mentioned in the pinned comment. May everyone find strength and guidance to deal with these complex challenges, and always stay with the Creator.